chosen one has to expand eventually, because if you do not expand, then you're going to crumble up under the pressure of being frustrated. Come on, catch them diamonds. When you are chosen, you have to expand. A lot of times the frustration comes from being stuck in the same place for too long. Come on now. This is because we become familiar and get comfortable with these places, that we are too afraid to expand because we don't think that we have it in us. But the whole time God has equipped you with it, if you would just walk in that anointing that God has already placed on your life. Come on now. Sometimes God has to separate you from everybody, and sometimes even the congregation. Come on now. This is why I talk about being spiritual over being religious, because when we have religious beliefs and traditions, it will hinder us, especially if you are a chosen one. When I think about Jesus, I think about him being a chosen one. He was called for a purpose and had a great anointing. Come on now. Jesus did not stay in one spot. And a lot of times a chosen person always want to stay in one spot because that's what you're familiar with, and you don't know how to get out and do what God has called you to do. And this is why God has to separate us from the crowd, because if not, we'll try to blend in. We'll try to do what everybody else is doing just to fit in. Come on now. But you're not meant to fit in. Let me give you something. Let me give you something. Catch these diamonds right here. Let me show you something. At the age of 23 or 24 years old, God started to isolate me from the congregation, from the church that I belonged to. And I remember my daddy calling me. He saying, "You going to church?" I said, "No, I ain't going to church. I'm going to stay at home and do online church and do Bible study. I got these books." He was like, "Well, you know, as Christians, we supposed to be going to church. You know, that's where we go to fellowship. This is what we supposed to be doing." And I said, "Well, no, I'm not going." I said, "Nah, I'm not feeling it. It's nothing there for me." I said, it's not feeding my spirit, and I feel like God is separating me. But see, by me saying that triggered and bothered him, because this is a religious belief. And this is what happened when we get conditioned with religious beliefs. We think everything's supposed to go in this order just like that. But sometimes God will do something different. Come on now, that people are not ready for, because everybody's conditioned by their religious belief. It's religious beliefs. So when I said that, he didn't like it. He's like, "Well, I feel, but I think you still." I said, "No, I'm not. I said, I feel this God is pulling me by myself with him. There's something that he had a deposit in my spirit, because I'm not getting it at church. I'm not getting it, at least at that church. I tried other churches as well, but it wasn't given. So it was just like God was just pulling me slowly in isolation. And I started doing Bible study. I started doing online church. I was listening to sermons all day, every day at this point. All day, every day. So let me show you this right here. Time goes by. It could have been 6 months to a year. My daddy calls me and we have a conversation. He said, "You was right." I said, "What you talking about?" He's like, "You was right. You know, I had stopped going to my church and I've been trying to find somewhere else to go, but I really couldn't expand." Come on. See, he wanted to do something more than what the congregation was allowing. Sometimes you be a part of a ministry or a congregation that will suppress you and dim your light. And this is why I say, chosen people, we cannot stay in one spot. If not, then we will conform to them and how they think and how they move. But God has chosen you to come outside of them, come on now, to bring order back to them. Catch them diamonds. Because a lot of them are conditioned. And this is why I think a lot of Christian people, life stays the same, because they just follow a checklist, a religious beliefs. They don't have no spiritual encounter with God to go through a spiritual awakening. And this is why I believe most of them move the same, have the same story, have the same life, have the same trauma, continue to stay stuck with the same generational curses, because they don't know nothing outside of this traditional box. Come on, I'm speaking. This is my real story. He said, I started going over here. I couldn't do it over here. They try to take your ideas, and then they won't let you do this and they won't let you do that. They pick and choose who they want to lead and do this. You see what I'm saying? And so, as you can see, he could not expand. My dad could not expand. Because a lot of people will try to hinder what you're trying to do, because they want to be the one to do it, because everybody wants to be the chief. And a lot of times when God has anointed you, when God has appointed you, then you are the main one to get pushed back. A chosen one, you will be the main one to get pushed back. And that's just how it goes, because your light and everything about you is going to shine, but people refuse to see it. And this is why I will not connect myself to a religious organization, because they have the same mentality. mentality. And I'm not saying for every church in the world, but we get it because we hear about this all the time. This is why people have to change churches and go over here and go there. And they also condition you to believe if you don't go to the church, then you don't believe in God. That's also another a belief system they put in your mind. That's a manipulation. That is not real. That's not real. This is why people be afraid to miss church on Sunday. Because if you do, everybody gonna wonder where you was at. Oh, you backslide. Oh, you must be doing this. You see all of that right there, that mental agony that you got to go through amongst these people, because they really, in my opinion, religious people do not develop. It's just a checklist for them. This is why they think as long as they go to church on Sunday, everything is good. This is why their heart a lot of time does not change. You can be in the same house. You can be have the same family members, or grow up with the same people in the same environment. But if you continue to pursue God and have a spiritual awakening, this is why you will be different. Even though you're sharing the same environment with people. Come on, catch them diamonds. I'm speaking real life. You will outgrow these people because you are spiritually evolving. This is why I would never tie myself to a religious group. I would never do it. It's almost like a cult. If you don't think the way they want you to think, if you don't hate something the way they hate it, if you don't have the same opinion, this is where the problem lies at. And this is all over the world. But a lot of times, a chosen vessel, you're going to be frustrated because you're trying to fit in with people that God may be trying to pull you away from, so that you can come back and give them some type of insight that they didn't have before. Come on now, catch them diamonds. I'm just being honest with you. Just like a religious belief, women ain't supposed to be preaching. This is what Paul talked about in Timothy. God says override, overrule. You don't get to pick and choose who God get to use. And when you read the Bible and see a lot of their religious beliefs, you will see that some of that is sexist towards women. And this is another reason why a lot of women have a mindset that they always feel inferior to everybody, because they condition you that way, especially in religion. Come on, if we want to be real about it, this is why some people will leave up under a woman post. You ain't supposed to be preaching. Says who? Your religious beliefs? Because God said override, overrule. Let me say this. When it comes to Jesus, I see Jesus as a chosen one. That's how I understand Jesus' story. I understand it a lot better. When you think about Jesus from the ages of 12 then to 33, there's a missing. The story is missing. And my theory is Jesus was in isolation, being prepared, having a great purpose, getting ready to enter the scene. Come on now. And that's what it reminds me about a lot of chosen people going through isolation at an early age, where God is shaping you, molding you. You're getting ready to be released out into the environment where you're going to brain change and inspire people. Come on now. And then you can share the good news. That's why I don't tie Jesus to a religious organization. I grew up to believe Jesus was a part of Christianity, but I don't believe that anymore. I just think of Jesus as being a chosen one. So when I say Jesus coverage, Jesus reminds me of the person who covered everybody all the time, like that chosen one, the person that everybody call on, that chosen one, the person that be there for everybody, to pray for them, to bring healing to them, just like that chosen person, just like you. Everybody call on you for something where you got to cover everybody, but don't nobody cover you. But everybody want to question who you are. Come on now. They don't believe who you are and who God has called you to be, just like Jesus. I think of Jesus as a chosen one, and that's what helps me understand the story and relate to Jesus, his journey a lot more for myself. I ain't asking you to do it. I'm telling you that's how I see it now. It helps me to see it that way. It just makes more sense to me. A chosen one with great purpose. Like I said, just like a lot of people, you have the same type of story like Jesus. This is why I can believe it happened. Everybody discussing you. Everybody either calling on you or they hating on you. Catch them diamonds. Either they calling on you or they hating on you. Catch them diamonds. And not to mention, let's talk about how Jesus was calling them out, the religious groups, just like the Pharisees. Jesus wasn't getting along with them. And that's how it seems today. People are always trying to give you their indoctrinations. They trying to give you their theologies, how to live and how to be, the things that they don't even follow themselves. Sounds very much like Pharisees, and nothing changed. And this is why that chosen one, anybody that come to persecute you, more than likely will be a religious person. They don't like because you keep on popping out. They want you to be in a box. They need you to follow everything the way they said. This is where it's supposed to be. This is what God. No. God has my blueprint. You don't. God has my blueprint. You don't. And that's how you need to start walking in life. This is why you need to have a spiritual awakening, so that you can know what your blueprint is. Because if not, them people gonna ruin your life. As a chosen one, you're gonna stay frustrated, gonna stay stuck in the same spot, the same community, with these same people who hate on you. They don't want to see you win. They don't want to see you shine. They only want to use you for your gifts when it's necessary. Catch them diamonds. They only want to use you for your gifts when they want something. Other than that, they toss you to the side. You see what I'm saying? You need to have a spiritual awakening with God, and so that you can know who God has called you to be. Because if you do not know who you are, then people will make you be what they want you to be. Now you catch them diamonds.